Welcome to Shopify Kryptonite, new episode here. Mikko and my new colleague Lassi here. Lassi, who are you? How does it feel to be on Shopify Kryptonite podcast?
Hi everyone, my name is Lassi Hakkarainen and one of the new growth hacker trainees of Woolman, and I'm more than happy to be here. I'm really excited last week when Mikko asked me to join him on this show, I'd say, and I guess that's it. I mean, from the background of mine, I've studied international business and logistics at Metropolia, and also specialized in digital marketing in the Netherlands at Saxion University. And I've been here now 3 weeks, and I'm really happy to work with Woman.
Great to have you on board. So Teemu is currently somewhere in the north, we don't quite know, having holiday or vacation or whatever, but that doesn't stop us. So therefore we have Lassi now as a sidekick here. And without a further ado, let's go to the tip of the week. So one really common question asked from us is that, does Shopify have any kind of like file vault where you could upload files? So yes, Shopify does have one. You can find that from the settings, and there you can upload images or stuff that should be at your online store, and that's easy to get access to. So yes, there's a file vault, very easy to use, straightforward, that you can access from your Shopify dashboard. Strong recommendation there. Then the actual topic of the week is like customer journey. It's one of the most common questions we have, that what should I do with my customer journey? How should I optimize my customer journey? And the theme this week is that five those like do's and don'ts. What to do when analyzing customer journeys and what not to do. How do you feel about the theme, Lassi?
I really do like it. Yeah, I mean, that's the big main thing that we need to focus on, since most of our job is about customer journey and how they work with the web shops, how they work with the websites. We definitely need to help people with those sort of issues, because it can affect a lot how the customer works on the website. Definitely.
I fully agree. So let's keep going. So what are the 5 do's that every online merchant on Shopify should do? So the first one, when you start with the brand, or when you already have sort of found a grip and you have some customers but you want to improve the customer journey, is to draw that on a paper. Draw your customer journey. Try to map what's happening. Not all the customer journeys are equal. People can get to the store from different locations, different sources, but you should have a basic understanding of possible customer journeys. That will then help you to manage customer journey better and understand your own store better as well. Then the other thing that I really recommend is going simple. So if you have the possibility, simplicity is beautiful. Beautiful customer journeys, easy to understand, and so that they are equal for all of your store visitors. I've seen cases where the merchant wants to do very complicated customer journeys, like let's add that to the cart, then let's go to the blog, and after that you are able to add another item to the cart and so on. I'm like, that's way too complicated. Let's start with the easy. If that works, then you can do all sort of tricks there and try to make it more complicated, but rather easy than do difficult. So that's my second tip. And then the third one really is super important. I usually miss that to validate these customer journeys. So I've seen this even with our corporate customers, that they have drawn these customer journeys, they are very happy with those, but they have never validated that does this actually happen. So even if it's on your whiteboard, even if it's in your fine presentation, that doesn't mean that actually happens. So super important to validate that, especially when doing changes to the store, that has something changed. And for that, we recommend, of course, using a best possible analytics software, Shopify Analytics, Google Analytics, and then some recording software such as Lucky Orange, just to make sure that you are always on track what's actually happening in your store. How do these sound? Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually have a question about the
Go ahead.
journey maps. Since the customer wants to do, or the web store owner, or e-commerce owner wants to do the journey map in the beginning, for example, should they change it at some point? Is it at monthly basis? Is it yearly? Is there like a certain, uh, you know, time zone when they should start making changes to the journey map?
That's an awesome question. So thanks for that, Lassi. Yes. So the first one is that you have no idea. You're planning a new store, you choose a theme or you get a custom theme for your store. You don't actually know what will happen. But the thing there is that there you should have your best estimate what's going to happen and what's the average customer journey. But only after data you will then see that what actually happens there. Typically, it means that you will then scrap the original one. But I would say that it's like a multi-phase process that you keep learning stuff, you keep like educating yourself and understanding how clients behave. And super important notice here is that there might be differences between different markets. So as example, Dutch people versus Germans versus Finns versus Swedes, they don't necessarily behave in the store quite the same way, even though there would be just a single store or the store would be similar in all of these countries. So that's something very important to keep in mind. And that being said, the other one that is very famous from e-commerce is that for some reason males and females behave a bit differently in these stores. So that's also something that you have to keep in mind, that are you aiming at these both segments, or then are you like focusing on some? I remember that from my personal case, finishpaybox.com, pregnant ladies versus gift buyers versus grandfathers. They had very different kind of behavior in the exactly same e-commerce store. So just as a reminder that. But yep, definitely you should keep updating that. I wouldn't say monthly, but I would say like maybe once in a quarter or at least every single year. Then you should be pretty well prepared for the future. Um, and that being said, that leads to our next point, which is that you should always plan the journey with several devices. Is it different on mobile and desktop? And if the customer journey won't happen on a single visit, then does it mean that one will actually spend time during the journey on several devices? And what does this mean? Is it something that I should perhaps take on my table when it comes to paid marketing? Or is it something that I should look at, that does it seem that the same person actually comes from with different devices, and you are even these days able to ask that from the question, ask that as a question from the clients with a magnificent software such as Inquire app. That means that it integrates to your Shopify checkout, and after the purchase you can ask them a question. Did you use multiple devices when you were purchasing, or what's happening? So it's all about the data. And then lastly, when you draw it and when you have pretty good understanding what's actually going to happen in my store, what's my average customer journey, then we really much focus on pin focus points. There are certain points that are more important than others. Customer journey means that you go step by step from first visit until purchase. It might include several visits. It might include a period of time. It might be 1 day, 1 week, 1 year, who knows. But certain steps are more important than others, and certain steps are usually so such focus points where you should then improve your store, whether it's about buttons, whether it's about carousels, whether it's about some sort of like data, whether it's about like writing better descriptions, product reviews, whatever. So always pin those focus points to make sure that you're concentrating exactly on the same or right topics that are the actual hurdles that are like your conversion killers. So those were the 5 views of customer journey planning. How were they? Would you agree?
Oh, I definitely would agree. A lot of focusing, that's for sure.
And
But
it
yeah,
requires your attention. That's the other one.
exactly. But it's doable, definitely. Not a hard task to do.
Cool. And then let's go to the don'ts. These are shorter ones, but these are very important. Number one, don't try to lose the customer inside the store. This is something that's actually happened like this year, that people try to get this kind of like emotional contact with the client, so that I will tell stories, I will provide them lots of content in my Shopify store, which all is great. However, it can't be so that when I end up to a landing page, I have difficulties returning to the store. So that's an amazing hurdle that you are building there. That hey, this is just like content, but the way to do like direct-to-consumer e-commerce is that you put content and products together. They should be on same landing page. It should be super easy to jump from content to back to the store and then purchase some items. So that's a big reminder there. And then second one, don't make assumptions that all my customers are behaving like this. So always from product card you end up to checkout. That doesn't happen. When you look at data, when I talk with our merchants, they make all sorts of assumptions. All mobile users are behaving like this. All desktop users are happy. Are you sure? Where did that data come from? Did you just make it up? Maybe that's something to consider, that always ask them the questions, don't make assumptions that are untrue. Then third one, probably most important one, don't force clients to do things in your e-commerce store. So this is something that comes from the past and maybe from like brick and mortar life, that hey, I will force them to open this door, I will force them to walk this aisle. But it's like in e-commerce, you are able to steer them, but that's it. They will make their own mind. So when you talk about like forcing them to behave in a certain way, that's not good. Typically that's bad when it comes to sales, that's bad when it comes to the customer experience. The actual thing there, what you're trying to say is that I want to squeeze them some way gently, that they would see some part of the content, some product details or whatever, but don't force it. Forcing is never that good. So when you are planning to update the store or changing the theme somehow, don't force them to do a single thing. And typically, an example of this is that there is just a single way to reach checkout. That can be it, but our recommendation is that you can reach checkout from various sources. So it can be from product card, or then there is the cart icon where you can straight go to the cart and from there to checkout. So in e-commerce, it's typically good that you have multiple sources for that. Great. Then probably one of the last ones, like don't forget like time. So time matters. The time windows matter. Is it a short visit? Is it a long visit? Or what's the difference between like two separate visits if the conversion will occur during the second visit? Look very carefully, what are your time windows? How much does an average purchase take? Especially for beginners, the issue there is that they are expecting immediate purchases, and immediate purchases in many cases won't occur, especially when selling more expensive items that are worth like hundreds of euros or even more. So that's definitely it. And then the last thing, probably again like maybe the most important one, don't create dead ends in your store. So landing pages where you cannot return back to where you were coming from, or that's difficult, or landing pages that are full of content such as text, images, videos, and so on, that don't actually have like CTA buttons to throw you back to the more commercial journey. So that's a definitely like customer journey killer, that you create landing pages that which don't make that much sense, or which are like great content, but then you just like get stuck in there. That's not good. So those were the 5 don'ts. How do you feel about these, Lassi?
That last one definitely brought me back to my school when we learned to do landing pages and no one knew how to proceed after making a landing page. Like everyone made this beautiful landing pages for their websites, and then definitely when you click the link, it was just put you back into the same landing page, get refreshing the page, and you're like, how is this even possible? It doesn't make sense. But yeah, definitely, I feel like many of those don'ts, you could probably just look at the data and fix those. Like most of those don'ts, you can see the data, you can look at the statistics, and you can easily, you don't have to make different assumptions of, customers. You can see the data. Okay, this data tells me that if they go here, they have an issue. They just leave the page. It's just definitely, I feel like looking at the data at that point can help a lot.
Absolutely, and you actually nailed it. So be active, look at the data. So without doing this customer journey like estimations or analysis, if you don't look at the data, if you really don't look what's going on, then you are completely lost. However, we still recommend like doing this, spending time to customer journeys, optimizing data, trying to make it better, more fluent, and for you to understand what, as a merchant, what happens in your own store. That's so important. That's like the easiest way to grow. So definitely highly recommending this. Anyway, thank you for the company, Lassi. Hope to see you again next week. Wish you good luck with our merchants. Stay tuned. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.